Our mission is simple. We exist to promote women to leadership roles and beyond. And how we are going to do that is by elevating their profile so they could be elevating their organizations and ultimately elevate this industry. Our dental industry is women dominated. This is something we can't take credit for it. Dental industry is women dominated despite of us, because most of those job positions we have, it requires skills which women seem to be a really good fit for that. And especially now with more women graduating from dental schools, we'll have way more women dentists as well over the years. So we're looking forward to that.
Welcome back to the Dental Economist Show with me, Mike Huffaker. Today, we're talking with Dr. Aman Kaur, the founder and president of Women in DSO, the organization dedicated to advancing and promoting the brilliant female leaders in our industry. Welcome to the show, Dr. Kaur. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much, Mike, for having me on the show. It's a joy to be here.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to speak with you. A couple of my colleagues, Beth Gaddis and Chris Hadziev, were both at Women in DSO this year, and they said the conference is unlike any other. What do you think makes it so different?
Yes, I would say Women in DSO conference is unique. And the best thing about this, and my personal thing, is the energy everyone experiences as audience, as speakers. And we can't take credit for it. It's the audience and every attendee that brings to the conference. And I feel like this is something like no place else. And it is the energy and the depth of connections formed at Women in DSO is unlike anywhere else.
That's incredible. Let's take a step back real quick. Can you walk us through a little bit of your career and your experience that ultimately resulted in you founding Women in DSO and you having such a passion for the mission of Women in DSO?
I've spent a little over a decade in DSO industry now in various roles. And in different roles, in different organizations, I have noticed that lion's share of work was getting done among different women leaders, but the representation was not the same when we looked at the C-suite, at the board members, and overall the industry. Whenever there was an industry event representing the DSO space, it was not always women. And we just felt, we could keep asking the question, why is this disparity, or do something about it? And that's when I talked with a few of my peers and industry friends, and we came together and we formed Women in DSO.
It's a really interesting point, and something that when I first came into dental, I couldn't help but notice that a significant portion of dental workers are female. But the point that you're making and what Women in DSO is looking to solve for, somewhere along the way, there becomes disparity again. And when you get up into the C-suite, even though 75 to 80% of people that work in dental practices are women, that balance goes away. And so when you're talking about not just pointing out that there is this inequity, but doing something about it, Women in DSO goes way beyond just putting on conferences each year. Can you speak to some of the other initiatives and things that you and your organization are working on to advance that equity?
Absolutely. So, Mike, yes, we are an association, and it's our mission is simple. We exist to promote women to leadership roles and beyond. And how we are going to do that is by elevating their profile so they could be elevating their organizations and ultimately elevate this industry. And, earlier you said our dental industry is women dominated. This is something we can't take credit for it. Dental industry is women dominated despite of us, because most of those job positions we have, it requires skills which women seem to be a really good fit for that. And especially now with more women graduating from dental schools, we'll have way more women dentists as well over the years. So we're looking forward to that. All of our programs are based around different dental positions in our dental offices to DSOs that these women leaders are occupying. So we have very strong mentorship program. We take huge pride in it. And every quarterly program, every quarter, we have 30 people going through our mentorship program. And it's been one of our gold star program. And that's been a hugely popular and very well participated. There's a wait list almost every cohort. And we have also done through our education committee exchange circles and empower networking. Those are educational programs. Monthly, we do is talking about DSO best practices and professional development programs. So those have been hugely popular. And we recently introduced our wellness event because wellness is really important in no matter what position you're in, especially with in today's world. So along with this, our upcoming programs involve clinical leadership and male allyship. So these are some of the programs we are trying to do. And when I talk about these programs, everyone thinks maybe we have a team of 20 people, but most of our programs are run by our members. We are a very young organization, so we have been very fortunate that members are developing programs based on the needs they are seeing and based on the response they are getting to these programs.
Yeah, you actually founded Women in DSO in 2019. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so in 2019, we started the conversations about it, and then 2020 happened. So
Right.
we took that year to regroup and kind of took that time to what do we want to do? How do we want to go about it? And we formally launched it in the summer of 2021.
When you're talking about elevating profiles and helping to really elevate women, is there also a role that DSOs themselves should be playing? And you've gone through, running your own DSO. What type of advice or guidance would you provide to ensure that people are providing good opportunities within their organization and not minimizing the challenges that are faced in advancing women's careers?
I feel or different dental organizations, we all have good intentions. Everybody has good intentions. And a lot of times I hear that we want to promote the best person for the job, not they don't see the gender. But I feel it's a little bit of cop out. You do need to understand there are challenges with each gender, and creating an environment where women feel heard is very, very important. A lot of women, I think we all have heard the word called male explaining. I think it's a little bit real, but sometimes I hear that it can be one guy even explaining what another guy is saying. But for women to receive it differently, so creating an environment where women feel heard, that's number one. And creating an environment where, we women go through certain challenges raising families and in their early years. So creating those environments can be helpful, and mentorship for them in each area is very, very important. It could be great for guys and for gals, but the topics women need mentorship is different than the topics men leaders need mentorship on.
I was reading some of the articles that Beth Gaddis wrote for Dental Products Report and Dr. Bicuspid. She interviewed almost 30 women that attended the last Women in DSO event. And a phrase that kept coming up over and over again was, "It's a safe space." Is that a bit what you mean when, the topics that need to be discussed amongst women are different than the topics that would be discussed about men? You're providing an opportunity to address topics that may otherwise not be addressed. Can you go into a little bit more detail about that?
When I hear the word safe space, I wish we did not need a safe space. I wish everything was safe enough. And I share with some of our women leaders in our organizations, women have the stronger inner critic than men do. So we need a little bit of that mental chatter stopped as well, that we could stop that inner critic. Because women, they make amazing leaders. They know their consumer base. They know how to make financial decisions really, really well, because 85% of household financial decisions are made by women. They are fairly savvy, but we just need to sometimes stop that inner critic. So that's where I think they feel comfortable telling each other. I wish there was not a need of safe space, but in organizations, we could create an environment where it's okay for anyone to make mistakes. So a little bit of that can be helpful. So our goal was not to create just a safe space, but instead a space, a community, and a network where people can thrive. that was our goal, and that's where we want to go, where we want to create a space where women leaders can thrive.
That's excellent. When let's talk about the mentorship program a little bit more, because I think this is really fascinating. Mentorship is so important. People talk about it a lot. It's really hard to kind of put yourself out there and ask somebody to mentor you, male or female. It's a challenge. It's you're exposing yourself. You have to be vulnerable in order to do that. It sounds like you're helping to kind of bridge that gap, and you're creating the opportunity for it to be a less threatening environment within which to receive mentorship. How do women go about either becoming mentors or finding mentors? Can you walk a little bit through what that process looks like for anybody else that's out there listening that also would be interested in participating?
So our mentorship program is available to our members, and how it's run by our mentorship committee. It's a very strong committee, actually. They meet during our annual conference. They have their own breakfast meeting, and all the people who've gone through cohorts, they have meaningful feedback, and they want to constantly improve this program. With that said, it's a little bit structured program. It's not just, hey, this is your mentor, this is mentee you are meeting. So we have a mentor's criteria, and then we also have a mentee's interest form. And then this committee works on take that input from both sides and then try to create proper matches based on what they want and who can deliver on those needs. And we have actually monthly check-ins to make sure they're tracking and they are meeting the way they need to. They are getting what they originally planned or intended to. Because there is nothing worse than getting on the other side of the program and finding out it didn't work out the way they planned to. So a lot of those things have been the catalyst in having this program to be so strong. And those monthly check-ins and making sure the meetings and the guides are being used to ensure it's structured.
Throughout your career, do you have any mentors that you kind of look to, or that that you seek advice? Do you have any mentors still today that are a really important part of your life?
So I had multiple mentors throughout my life, including now. I feel it's just asking one mentor to fulfill all of your needs is just too much to ask. It's just, we need people who we can run some personal challenges by, some professional challenges. And even professionally, some people are really good at helping you grow your network, and then other people are helping you learn how to represent your own brand better and your own image management. I've been very, very fortunate throughout my life. I have had several mentors from my business school, from the organizations I have worked at, and a lot of them are from the industry, even though we don't even have similar career paths. I actually have few friends who are from different industries, and we speak often and frequently about different things.
I like what you just said about it's almost unfair to just expect to have one mentor that can kind of fulfill everything that you're looking for in mentorship. I've heard of this concept of like a personal like advisory board. You find multiple people for different elements of your career or life or parenthood or any of that you can really kind of lean on. So I think that's an incredible approach. What would be some advice that you would give somebody if they were seeking mentorship? Like if somebody wanted to ask you for some mentorship, like what fails, like where you're like, this is not a good approach. Like you need to rethink, obviously your time is incredibly valuable. Well, what sort of guidance would you share with somebody about the right way to go about it?
So, right way to go about is mentees got to own the mentorship, not the mentor. That's number one. And when you are coming to mentorship sessions, have an agenda, be prepared to take on notes, and whatever your action items are, you got to follow through on them. So I do kind of coaching for the businesses and some other through my VC work. And what I've noticed is the best entrepreneurs have been the one who take the initiative, and we have pre-identified agenda, and they are very comfortable being challenged, and they also challenge me, we come up with the best solution, because when you're two people on the same side of sitting on the same side of the table, it's just as important to convince each other, because if you can't convince a person sitting right next to you, how in the world are you going to convince sitting across from you? So having that ownership and open mind is the way to go about it.
Yeah, that is really great advice. You're not just witnessing a change in dentistry, but you're really helping to drive it. What is the impact you're seeing as more and more women become CEOs, COOs, CFOs? Kind of what type of trends and changes are you witnessing happen?
I'm hearing from everyone around me more than what sometimes I wish we would have done more. But what I've learned from everyone else is women are feeling more visible within their organizations and within the industry, and we are seeing them getting promoted and being recognized for their work much more than previously. I have seen organizations making sure they have an initiative and focused approach on making sure there's similar amount of women in leadership or in the board roles. So there's an initiative, there's an effort behind it, which I am really glad to see. And what I've personally noticed is women are at the center of action now. In the past, they used to be on the peripheries of it. So now they are at the center of it. They are driving the change, not just participating as mere observers.
Do you see salary inequality in dental as it relates to men and women? What's your perspective on that?
It's one of those topics I try to stay away from it, but we have all witnessed it. And we know women are great negotiators for their organizations, but not similarly good negotiators for themselves. I have gone through that, a ton of that in my career, and I have hired a lot of male leaders and I've hired a lot of female leaders, and I've seen how men approach their self-worth versus some of the women approach their self-worth or worth their value their contributions. So yes, there is a disparity, and but how we want to close that gap is not about with entitlement or with we need to do it. I think there needs to be a healthy conversation about it and focus and effort around it to do it the right way.
Let's talk a little bit more about the exchange circles. Can you go into some more detail about what the structure of those are and what that looks like?
Absolutely. So it was actually one of the first educational program Women in DSO launched when we started. And what we focus on this is it's done monthly. And these are focused on DSO best practices. So revenue cycle management, scalable workflows, best practices for clinical leadership. So, and these are participants are typically panelists from large DSOs and a combination of some moderators from our vendor partners. And they go into in-depth conversations about each topic, and it's followed by Q&A. We typically do it on Thursdays around 1 p.m. Central Time. And this has been very well attended program from the very beginning. Even, we all are zoomed out, tired of virtual events. Well, today we get around 50 to 60 attendees who register for these every month. So it's been very popular.
And what would you say the desired outcome of these are? So it's continuing education. There's specific topics that there's deep dives happening. What is the intended benefit that the attendees should be receiving?
And number one benefit that is second to none is elevating women's profile. So because those panelists are women leaders, so we want to elevate their profile. We feature those speakers. We feature their expertise, their backgrounds, and this is an environment where they get to talk about something they're good at. So we want people to know how good they are at what they do and learn from their expertise. And eventually, we all learn by talking about meaningful things together. So it's a good learning session, but we also get to raise those women and those organizations' profile.
There's this notion that when you start to get into leadership roles, women in leadership are typically in HR marketing roles. and that you don't see as many in operational leadership roles or technical roles. CTOs, positions along those lines, CIOs seem to be relatively rare as well. Do you attribute any of that to a lack of interest in any of those subject areas? Or how would you explain that there is that additional gap with certain types of positions within an organization?
Great question. And I don't think it's unique to DSOs. It's just overall what we see in various industries. And, there has been a strong push for getting more women into STEM programs and things of that nature. We see a lot of commercials about where women, kids, girls get toys as dolls and Barbies, and boys get toys for some mechanical toys. It's been kind of one of those things we won't be able to change overnight. It's been over the years. What we can do to change and bring the similar expertise across the gender is creating more knowledge and confidence around it, because once people know there's awareness and everything is possible, you don't really need a different kind of brain to be doing something related to technology. It's someone who is really good at accounting can also be really good at technology, but it will take some time, because in the past technology was more hardware than software. So people thought it needs probably more physical strength versus just mental strength. So I think some of those disparities have come from the old thought process. It will take some time to change, but seeing is believing. If we will see more women coming in technology positions and getting those higher ranks positions and growth path, we will see more women coming into those positions.
Yeah, you're right. It is absolutely not just a challenge for DSOs. And I work for a SaaS software company, and you see similar imbalances within an engineering department versus a sales organization versus a CS organization. So I think it's a very astute observation on how things are structured from when you're very young. I saw Beth actually posted something on LinkedIn recently about gender disparity when it came to toys, and it's like what is being provided and all of that. So it's really interesting. I had not put a lot of thought into that before, and it's clearly something important to be speaking about and to recognize. When you're thinking about what you want to accomplish over the next year and kind of your missions and goals, what are you excited about? What's kind of the really getting you going these days?
Oh gosh, there's so much to be excited about. It's such a great time in dentistry, and specifically for women leaders, because finally people are taking a notice of it, and we are seeing more women in C-suite positions. Rama is the CEO for Clear Choice, so we're seeing a lot of good, positive change. What I'm excited about is having more women in CEO positions for large DSOs, and we want to see those organizations grow. It has been a little challenging year for DSOs growth overall, with everything in the economy. So as we get back on track and on the growth path, I would like to see these organizations grow and see more women into leadership positions. We are excited about that. And what, as an organizations, we are working on male allyship program. We are going to work with various male executive CEOs from different DSOs and partner organizations to create an environment where we have strong supporters. They all have great intentions, but we want to get them to being good guys to real, true allies and true sponsors for women leaders in the industry. So that's what we are excited about. And if we can do it well in the United States, as DSOs are growing overseas, we want to see if we could change the trajectory of women leaders' career there, and they could be the one leading it versus, overcoming it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I know that you've done some work overseas. How does it compare into the US? Is there as large of a problem, a larger problem? Kind of what are your thoughts internationally?
So what we have observed is DSO industry overseas is where DSO industry was in United States, I would say almost 10, 12 years ago, where there was still that corporate dentistry stigma attached to DSOs. So we're noticing that overseas. So there is that big area to navigate. And compliance, corporate structure with government rules. All those things need to be handled very delicately so they don't have to make similar mistakes that some of the DSOs had to go through here. That's an area of opportunities. And DSOs are being driven overseas as well by the financial areas, financial sector. And financial sector, we know globally is male dominated. We hire people who are like us. So we continue to see more men in the leadership roles there as well. And then another thing I noticed was a lot of owner dentists who are investing into growing groups are men, not women. So even if it's a husband-wife practice, it's always the husband who is running as an owner of the group versus the wife. So there are areas of opportunity, and financial education is another big area where there can be some assistance given over to people who are getting into DSO industry.
And you just launched a new publication, The Lead. And the amazing thing about magazines and publications is that it can be received globally very easily. There's a very low barrier to communicating that information. Can you talk a little bit about what the intent is of The Lead and what the focus will be, and how often there will be new publications?
Thank you for asking this question. And the question you asked is, what was the intent behind it? And we don't have a whole lot of resources, so we want to be very intentional about what we do. And the Lead publication we have launched with simple one intention. It's our goal to get this publication in the hands of one person per dental office across the globe. So that's the goal we are after. And then
that's a great goal. It's very specific. I love it.
Yes, and it has a lot of material and a lot of tools for women leaders from our Women in DSO programs. So we want to make sure no one feels alone as they are starting out their career, or maybe they're at the next level in their career. They have resources available. So that's the goal we launched this with. And we don't want it to be just infomercials about company and just kind of marketing tool. It's a lot about why people are doing it and what they're doing to elevate the industry, and what is in the future of their organizations and how they're impacting future of dental industry. And it's coming quarterly. Every quarter we are going to release it in partnership with major dental conferences. So we released Q1 at Empower and Grow at Women in DSO conference. Q2 will be launched at Dykema DSO conference. Q3 is at SmileCon ADA conference, and Q4 is at Greater New York. So we are partnering with different conferences to continually expand the reach of this publication. So our Q1 edition, it reached to 5,000 plus DSO offices and executives. So we're just trying to add 1,000 more almost every quarter.
Oh, that's awesome. If somebody wants to receive it, how would they go about getting their hands on this?
Yeah, so it's theleadmagazine.com. They can subscribe it. Our digital edition's available there. And then if they want to actually get a hard copy, they can send us a note and we will work with them.
Okay, awesome. That's very cool. Last question. I want to be really conscious of your time. Where do you go to learn? Do you have any books that you'd recommend, podcasts that you listen to, shows that you watch, any of that?
I'm a constant learner, and I used to read a ton. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't finished a book all the way through in a few months now. I have 3 books I have started, and then these days I think I've lost that attention span, and I get bored, and then I started another one. I do listen to a lot of audiobooks as well. Podcasts, I am selective on a few of them, but because I don't have longer drive right now, so it's been one of those things I did when I drove previously. But yes, I read. I have at least 2 to 3 books running. Some self-help books, and I also like to read industry books, industry publications. And what I have a good network of people. We talk about different things. So I meet with that group of. We meet twice every month. So that has been a good source of information and continually growing.
That's awesome. I love it. Thank you, Dr. Kaur. I really appreciate you taking the time. For anyone that wants to learn more about women in DSO, can you share socials, website, anywhere where people can find you all?
Yeah, it's simple. It's womenindso.org and womenindso.com. I think both get directed to our website. And please send us any email if you have any further questions to info@womenindso.org. My personal email is Aman, AMAN, at womenindso.org, and happy to get back to you with anything we could.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
The Dental Economist Show is brought to you by Planet DDS. To find out more about how cloud-based dental software by Planet DDS helps unleash dentists and their staff to focus on patient care, visit www.planetdds.com. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes by following wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening.